May our work give you honor, and our voice celebrate you forever. Amen. And if you will stay standing, the next thing on the agenda is to do the pledge to the U.S. flag, and we're happy to have James Pressler, who will do that. And
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
our Texas flag is Brother Johnny T.
Amen. You ready? Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Everybody be seated.
Mình đâu có đâu. Phải. Đúng không? Cờ Mỹ, cờ Texas. Tức là cờ Mỹ, cờ tiểu bang, cờ quốc gia cũ của mình là bông cờ vàng. Đúng rồi, ủng hộ Tổng thống Trump và 4 cây cờ. Đúng rồi. Khi chị cấm nó phải cấm theo thứ tự, chứ không phải là cấm trái phải. Bên trái bên gì đâu.
All right, do a little history here about kind of what's going on with the flood. We are at that time of year when we have to elect some board members. The original set of board members basically was the steering committee, and they were elected by the steering committee to serve in, at that time, 3-year, 2-year, or 1-year positions. The other members of the board, by default, are the president, the vice president, the secretary, and the treasurer. Okay. Actually, what happens when the first election of the board comes along is we actually elect 3-year members to the board, and the other members step down a year. Everybody from this point on will be elected as a 3-year member. We do have a nominating committee, and the nominating committee is chaired by our friend Cindy Siegel, who is currently the 3-year board member, and she is the chair of the committee, and I'm going to turn it over to her and let her give her report.
Good evening. Well, the nominating committee, I am the chair, John Branch is on it, and John Menefee. They're both ending their first year, their 1-year term. They were elected last year for a 1-year term. We have met. We sent out an email to all the membership. If you're interested, you were supposed to contact one of us by this past Monday. We didn't hear from you. I don't know why. I think maybe you're busy with something from an election. But anyway, John Branch, John Menefee have volunteered, submitted their names, and so as part of our report, we're offering them up as the replacement. Will actually just extend their term. They would fill the 3-year term. However, if you get inspired and want to go ahead and also still throw your name in the hat, you have until the November election, which will be our November board meeting, which is when we will in fact vote on these positions. You can submit your name to be an at-large board member to the secretary prior to that. There will, per our bylaws, there are no nominations taken that night or before. We just vote. But if not, hopefully we'll accept John Branch and John Menefee agreeing to step up and fill a 3-year term. Thanks. motion that we approve our report.
Motion was made and seconded to approve the nominating committee's report. All in favor that are members, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion for the committee report was approved as presented. Okay. Next on the agenda is this little bucket. You heard me talk about it. We passed the bucket to help defray the cost of the room. That's the only expense that we have in having our meetings. We don't charge for a meal. We don't have any minimums. This is not a requirement. It is just to help out in order for us to continue meeting here and having these meetings at this location. So we're going to pass that around, and if you can contribute, it is very, very appreciated. Okay, well, that's going around. We have, let's see, we have 7 candidates that are have requested to speak. We try to make the total about 15-20 minutes for the whole group. So what we're going to do is we're not going to have a timer. We're going to put you on your own. Hold it to about 2 minutes. 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Okay? And I'm going to start. We actually have some special guests with us tonight. We have some folks that are running for political office that are visiting us from California. So I would like to start out with Amy Van West, who is running for Congress from the 47th District from California. And if you'd like to come up and say a few words.
She's coming.
We'll come back to her. Yeah, we'll come back to her. All right, we also have another one, also from California. Her name is Cecilia Truong. She is running for Menifee City Council District.
We're here to lock arms with all our Texas brothers and sisters, our patriot friends, because as we all know, we're under a lot of tyranny in California, under the non-leadership of Governor Newsom. We are desperately fighting for freedom. I think the undercurrent, the silent majority has now risen, and it continues to rise to the level of the rallies that you see in California. People are starting to not be ashamed to have Trump flags, American flags. We literally have rallies every weekend all over the state of California. And we are just about to recall Newsom. We believe it may be successful this third try. So pray for California, please. Now we want to lock arms with Texas because we understand that you also are under attack because you've had an influx of people moving from states like ours that, even Hollywood. I've even heard Hollywood people are moving out to other states. They're leaving LA, for goodness sake. So if you destroy one state, you want to move to another state and destroy that one too. And that makes me upset, because I understand. I have a heart for Texas. My son goes to Dallas Baptist University. Love Texas, and I love your barbecue, by the way. So we're just here to lock arms with you, like I said, and we want to fight for California. We want to fight for Texas as well, because if Texas isn't free, of course, all the other states, it sets a precedent, because you guys are the largest state of the United States. We love you. Thank you for having us out from California. We hope to come back again and really connect with all of you. And so thank you for your time. God bless you all.
All right. Thank you, Pat. Okay, so we have Amy Fan West, who is running for Congress from the 47th District.
Awesome. Sorry, guys.
I appreciate it. Hi guys, Amy Fan West from California. I am so happy that Texas is not like California. Please do not follow our example, whatever you do. Please do not. Okay? And the thing is that, guys, I'm so proud of how conservative you guys are in fighting for the freedom and liberty to preserve the constitutional rights, the freedom of speech, freedom to bear arms, which is the governor is trying to take it away from us in California. Keep that, guys, and freedom of religion. So the thing is, guys, I want to encourage you guys, as a refugee from Vietnam, a communist regime, I understand completely what it is when you lose your country, you lose your freedom, you lose the right to bear arms. That's the first thing the communists do, is that they conquer a nation, a country, they disarm the people, then what they do next is dismantle the monuments, renaming the cities, and then put their flag up. And this is exactly what the BLM is doing, and the Antifa in America. And this is a time where we put our foot down and say enough is enough. We're taking our nation back from the Antifa, the Democrats, and we're not going to let it happen. But we need to be bold and courageous. And this is the time that we must be bold and courageous, because I understand, as Americans, we enjoy the prosperity for the last, I don't know, 100, 120, 130 years, because our forefather has fought for our rights to preserve this nation. And I understand that it's easy to lose this courageous fighting spirit. But for such a time as this, we are called as Americans to get that courageous fighting spirit back. And especially men, I'm talking to you. We need godly men, men of courage, men who will stand and fight for their family, men of courage that's needed in our nation so much nowadays, and fathers. This is your calling, but not only that, I'm calling women as well. This is a time for us to be courageous, to lead our family, to lead the next generation as mothers, as wives. This is what we need to do. So as we gather together and stand, we will preserve America, because if Joe Biden wins, we will lose America. As a Vietnamese refugee, I understand that completely, very well. So this is the thing, guys, we lost Vietnam. We couldn't take it back. Now, we do not want to lose the freedom we have here. This is another land that we're living here. So I encourage you, from my example, what I experienced, we witnessed women and children getting raped and murdered, and people eating dead flesh to survive. Half of my family shot and buried alive. As I witnessed all that, guys, I do not wish that upon the American people, the land of the free, home of the brave. And that is what we must fight for. So God bless you, and please support good candidates, Republican candidates. Stand with them. Because that's one problem we have, is that a lot of candidates who are running feel lonely, feel like they don't have the support. And I know you guys have great support with great leaders here, but please, stand with them. Make phone calls for them. Walk with them. Not only that, support them financially, because then, skin in the game, right? We donate whatever we can, and this will help them out. But the thing is, guys, we stand with our candidates who are running, but we stand with America value and the people who live here. So God bless you, and God bless the USA.
All right, next on our list, I'm going to jump down because he's got to leave. I'm going to call on Johnny T, who's running for Congress from CD9.
Good to see you all again. I am Johnny T, running for Congress against the dreaded Al Green. I've been door knocking 200 homes every day since May of 2019. Had a great visit today with a guy who's a strong Democrat. He had the wildest ideas I've ever heard. He said, "You're a Republican? Republicans kill people." He said, "You like the Bible? There's nothing true in it." He said, "Jesus was a creative figure by Rome to overcome the world." I tried to discuss with him where he was wrong. I tried to show him what the Republican Party is about and actually express that our values are the same as his. he has just gotten so tied up in labels that he never hear the truth anymore. It was a fight, it was a terrible discussion, I was getting kicked all over the yard. And after 25, 30 minutes, he said, I said, man, I've wasted my time, I need to move on. And at the end of the conversation, he said, you know what? You're honest. I'm going to vote for you. He said, unless Al Green comes to my door. But I tell you what, we are out there converting voters. Our district is 80% Democrat, but with guys like Jim, who's Fortnite with me and others, we are changing hearts and minds, and we're going to win this thing. So bless you.
All right, next on our list is Dr. Lily Truong, who's running for state representative from District 149.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Well, Dr. Johnny T, just tell you a story. I have another story to tell you. So I went to the restaurant, and of course I'm from the socialist country, and there's 3 young adults sitting next to me talk all about socialism. Wonderful about socialism. So I come up to them. I go, so you know anything about socialism? They go, yeah. And I go, you want to hear more? They was like curious. So I told them, I go, so each week or each month, how much money does your parent give to you to spend? You know? They say, yeah, $200, $100. I go, great. When you're under socialists, like in our country, Vietnam, the whole family, they change the money. Doesn't matter how much money you have in the bank. They change, you can have $1 million, you have $10,000. They said each family only allowed $200 in their money. And I look at them, I go, so you think you can survive? Because your entire family only have $200. They go, no way. I spend $200 each week. How can, I go, that's socialist. And I go, you have any questions? They go, well, they give free education. I go, yes, free education. What is free education? Free education is you get to learn what they want you to learn. You don't get to learn, you know, like engineering, doctor, whatever. You only learn about socialism, and they want to make sure that you are stupid, you don't want anything, so they can control you. That's
Yes.
the whole point. So, you know, make the conversation short, so I talk about it, and I go, so what do you think of socialists? They go, I have to think about it. So that's why I want to give an example, because a lot of young age students right now doing that. They don't know anything. So one of my goals, if I can get elected in, and I talk with Dr. Melinda Morris and Dr. T, they will support that. I don't mind go to university and talk to kids and tell kids what is socialist. Because I don't want this country to change into socialist. I'm from a socialist country, just like Amy said. We want freedom, and that's what we have to treasure. And, you know, thank you for letting me speak today. So if you know anybody in 149 District 149, please vote for me. And my name is Lily Truong. Thank you.
All right, next on our list of candidates is James Pressler, who is running for Fort Bend Tax Assessor Collector.
Thanks for the welcome, I appreciate it.
No more taxes.
That's right. So my name is James Pressler, and I do realize that I'm in Harris County and not Fort Bend County. But I love this club and wanted to hear Pat speak tonight. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So anyways, well, rather than talking about myself, what I want to remind everyone to do, regardless of what county or precinct you live in, vote from the White House to the courthouse. School board, mayor, city council, your local candidates and elected officials significantly impact your life more than other higher up officials. It's super important, and I encourage you to print a ballot circle or check the people you want to vote for, make copies, and give it to your friends. That way they can study it. It's going to be long ballots in every precinct because of moving the municipal elections into our partisan election. So help people out and, make copies and share them with everybody. They are legal to bring into the voting booth with you. So that is my advice. Thank y'all so much.
All right, next on the list, my favorite, is my wife, Dr. Melinda Morris, who's running for Texas Senate from SC 13.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Melinda Morris, and I'm your Republican nominee for the State Senate District 13. And Republican candidates are making a difference. There's no doubt about it. And when you go out on my campaign and start meeting people, you're on a journey. And just like Johnny is doing and Dr. Lily is doing, I'm going to tell you about Cecilia. Cecilia sends me a $10 donation and a letter. She's 70 years old. She is on Social Security, $738 a month. So $10 for her was a lot of money. So I really appreciate her donation. And she describes her situation to me, and she lives just down the street from here. She's at Hillcroft and 59 on Sands Point in Evans Precinct. And there's a high crime area there. And she's been burglarized 8 times. The windows of her car have been shot out. Her license on her plate on her car has been stolen. And she is actually living out of town right now because she doesn't feel safe in her neighborhood. And I was actually on the phone call to Constable Ted Heap's secretary today because I want to get him involved and see what we can do so she can feel safe in her neighborhood. And these are the differences that we need to make in people's lives. In 2 weeks, I will be serving 1,000 hot meals to an underserved community over at Crestmont and South Acres. Stephanie, I hope you'll join me. We need 25 to 30 volunteers to help serve these meals. We're reaching out, we're going where Republicans have never been, and we're making a difference in people's lives. So, I was a doctor for 35 years taking care of patients, and now I'm going to take care of SC 13. So thank you all.
Jada, you had signed in on this list. Did you have? Okay. Okay. Just wanted to okay. All right. That's. I think I've hit all of our candidates that signed in this week. I do have one. Nope, shouldn't sign it up. I do have one more little piece of housekeeping before we move to our guest speaker. Back there on the back table is a little form that looks like this. It's a membership application to join the Southwest Houston Pachyderm Club. I would suggest, if you are not a member, that you get one of those forms and fill it out. It costs $40 per year, and right now, this is per the bylaws. If you sign up from now to the end of December, it's good for 2021. So this person, we have a new member as of tonight. It's Brock Williams. And Brock, if you'll come up, I would like to present you with your membership in. And thank you very much for joining us. And I encourage everyone to do the same. Okay, now it's time for the star of the show. All right. It is my extreme pleasure to present to you all tonight. We have Kat Parks, who is our RPT Vice Chair, and I'll let her take care of all of her own introductions. She'll tell you all about herself.
Well, thank you all for being here tonight. When I speak with audiences, normally I say there are 3 things that you need to know about me. Number 1, I used to be an ER nurse, and so I've saved lives. Number 2, I'm a cancer survivor, so I fought for my own life. And number 3, I start colts for a living. So I swing my leg over a horse and come out the other side, and hopefully what's not too wild a ride if I've done a good enough job at it. But bottom line, I'm not afraid of anything. I've taken on some extraordinary challenges and come out the other side of those challenges. I'm not afraid to fight the Democrats, but more importantly, I'm not afraid to fight for the values that we hold here in America, that right now are at risk with those who are running for office on the Democrat ticket. How many of you watched the Democrat convention? Anyone? Yeah, I do, because I think you need to know it. I think you need to know your enemy, right? And I think you need to know what are they saying. So we were given no greater contrast than the Democrat convention and the Republican convention, right? Those of you who watched. And I believe that we are coming to a precipice where we have a decision to make about what sort of value system we're going to lead forward with our country. We have Donald Trump at the helm at the top of the ticket. Some of you must be big Trump supporters. Some of you may not like his tweets. And for those of you who don't like his tweets, here's what I have to say to you. Get over it. Because he is the opposite of socialism. Because he's been nominated for 2 Nobel Prizes within the last week and a half. His foreign policy. People were nervous about a lot of things when he first took office. What is Donald Trump going to mean for the next 4 years? And he has delivered. He has exceeded his expectations for everyone. I think even the people who didn't know what we had ahead of us. There are people that I've spoken with all over the state that voted for him for only one reason the first time around, and that was the judges list that he came up with his conservative judges. He has put in office, appointed over 180 judges. He's flipped 3 courts from Democrat extreme courts to Republican courts. This is imperative, and this is amazing that he's been able to do this realistically, not just with the fighting of the Democrats, but with the fighting of many establishment Republicans. And we as citizens have to draw a line. We have to be the ones to carry him forward, to carry our country forward in this November 3rd election. I'm going to give you guys some statistics about some good numbers. Within the last week, the Republican Party, the RNC, the Donald J. Trump team, made its 100 millionth voter contact. That is with phone calls, and that is with door knocking. I am so proud of all of the candidates that we've heard from this evening, because so many doors are being knocked in so many areas that we have never reached out to as the Republican Party, that have been ignored for a very long time. Another thing that you should know about me, for the last year and a half, I was in charge of candidate recruitment for the state of Texas. And some of you probably know former Chairman James Dickey. We laugh that, in fact, James put me in charge of this project because I have a really entrepreneurial mind. I own a couple of businesses. I was a former university coach. And so I like to really understand how things work, and I have great curiosity. I would argue right now that curiosity, I know this from horse training, is the opposite of fear. It's the opposite of fight or flight. It's what enables us to learn, to spread our wings, and to grow. And what we are looking at right now is a Democrat Party which tries to envelop people with fear, and a Republican Party which wants to envelop people with growth and the promise of prosperity and the promise that each individual holds. It's completely different. So when I asked James Dickey, we laugh about this now, so many questions, he finally decided I need to put this girl in charge of something to keep her busy so she doesn't keep calling and asking questions about how things run. So let me just tell you what we did. Some of you will know Martha Wong, and Mary Surgisketter, Sean Cheevan, they were your Houston district representatives. We did not in Austin come and say we need to come recruit candidates. We came, we created regional directors within each of the urban communities, and then those regional directors reached out and said, we need great candidates to run. I believe in this 100% with my whole heart. And I believe that we need good representatives who listen to the people. It's like the joke that Johnny Teague said about Al Green. Is Al Green going to come knock on his door? No. We have Democrats that are so entrenched that they've stopped listening to the people. They've raised taxes, and they've hurt people in so many immeasurable ways. What we see here is so exciting to me, because these are candidates we reached out to who we said, we need people to be brave. You know, the numbers in some of these districts are scary numbers to sign yourself up for. And so I would like for everyone in the audience to please just give a round of applause to all of the candidates who have thrown their hats in the ring, because you give up a tremendous amount. And I am truly proud of every single one of them. And I want to let you know that when Johnny Teague told me that he has knocked on 60,000 doors, that's 60,000 people that a Republican has reached out to with a smile and been available to answer questions about why we are conservatives and about what freedom is and about the things that we believe in. Elections are won at the door. They're won by looking people in the face and having conversations and having something in common. They're won by Melinda caring about her community. She actually cares about people who are in distress and are not being supported in the way that they should by the people who are elected to help them. That is why this is so important. I'll give you another good figure. So this week we reached 2.1 million voters for the Donald J. Trump Volunteer Network. That's a lot of volunteers, and those are the people who are driving all these voter contacts that we're having. Now, I have something that's concerning. When Obama won his second term, he had 2.2 million volunteers. So we've got a ways to go. We are not to where Obama was to win his second term. And so volunteer for the Donald J. Trump team, yes. But if there's someone here tonight as a candidate and you live within their district, volunteer with them. You can combine forces between candidates, you can drop flyers for other candidates, use and help one another for a force multiplier. Now, if you're a congressional candidate versus state candidate, know your election laws, okay? But it can go one way and not the other way, so it's possible. Another thing that I think is very scary is for those of you who watched the Democrat convention, Joe Biden has had his highest fundraising month in August, over $300 million. That's serious money. That's no joke. It doubles what Trump raised, $150 million for the month of August. So we are in a fight. This is a real fight, and this is a real war. Now, a few things I'd like to tell you from the RPT side of things. What is the Republican Party of Texas? Where is our focus? Number one, we have to re-elect the president. There's just no question. If we end up with a Democrat in office, it's possible that we'll have a Democrat as a president for the next 50 years. If you are afraid of the ideological beliefs that the Democrat Party stands for, that should be bone-chilling to you. Number two, we have to elect our state legislators. Right now, we are 9 seats away from losing the House. If we lose those seats to the Democrats, they get to redraw the redistricting maps. Whoever controls the drawing of the redistricting maps controls a whole lot of things. That is very scary. We've got to support our legislators. Number three, judges, judges, judges. All of you in Harris County know, 2016, we lost our entire slate. 2018, we lost our entire slate. The judges are getting scary. I'm sure you all read that a 28-year-old who had not graduated from school replaced one of the most noteworthy judges that we've had in Harris County, who is noted as a national figure for his expertise. Identity politics and politics that follows party lines when it follows those party lines to a place of incompetence of people who are not qualified for office, is outrageous. And the Democrats are embracing those identity politics over being qualified. That was the other thing that in candidate recruitment. I'm very proud of the things that happened with that. We had the largest number of women run for office in the Republican Party of Texas history. We had the largest number of minorities. We had the largest number of people who were under the age of 40. We're not the party of identity politics, but all of these people were uniquely qualified, very qualified, and those were demographics that we've had trouble reaching in the past. So those candidates who are out here, I really salute you. Let me tell you a couple other things. School boards and city council, you mentioned this. You read my speech before I got here, okay? So what happens with the school boards and city councils? It's basically like the baby end of the pool where everybody practices before they run for things higher up. So even though we've called them nonpartisan races in the past, they have become very partisan. And that's where they're learning to get their wings. So we have got to start paying attention to how do they vote, what is their voting history, and where do they stand? And school boards, you think those bonds affect your property taxes? Absolutely. They have the power to tax us to death. And they do, and they believe in taxing for many, many things. I was in Pflugerville last night, and there were 3 different city councilmen who were there who were running, and they were trying to shoot down a bond that was a bond that with the interest over time, Pflugerville is a suburb, if you will, of Austin. That bond with the interest over time would cost over $1.3 billion. They still haven't paid back the other bonds that they have. That's not a number, that's a number that's going to force people out of their neighborhoods and force people out of their homes. Okay, let's see. A couple of things. Let me talk to you about my role as vice chair, okay? Because I need to thank those of you who supported me. I won a recent election, the convention, for those of you who participate in the Republican Party of Texas convention process. It was not what we thought it would be this year. It's just so those of you who participated know, this weekend is the State Republican Executive Committee meeting, and they will be meeting after this weekend to hopefully finish the voting process and solidify the platform vote, for those of you who know. But what am I doing as vice chair? I spoke with over 2,000 delegates across the state. I called lots and lots of people, and I said, what would you like for your vice chair to do? And among those things, they said, where are the youth? And so I have gone and I've spoke with the Texas A&M College Republicans. I've spoken with the Pflugerville Youth Club. I've only been in office now for a month and a half. I have traveled, I think, over almost 3,000 miles, spending a lot of time on the road. So it's really an honor to be out here to share with you some of the things that we're doing across the state. Texas alone has made almost 6 million doors have been knocked. So we are out there working, and we are out there fighting for you. And so the thing I want to remind you, we've already touched on this, straight ticket voting is gone in Texas, which, yeah. This is the great experiment, because we're not sure. We're really hoping that Democrat voters in Harris County, because y'all have the longest ballot in the country, we're really hoping that the Democrats see Trump, we know they hate Trump, that they vote, you know that they're gonna vote the opposite, and then they get tired a few spaces down, and they leave because they don't recognize any of the other names. Let us pray, he said. Republicans, you have got to vote from the very top of the ballot all the way to the bottom of the ballot. I have heard Republicans are more likely that if they don't have name recognition, if they don't know about that candidate, they are less likely to choose that person that they don't know. If you are that person and you are that exacting and you are not willing to fill in the bubble for a person you don't know, then that means that you have homework to do. You need to go get a copy of all of the pages of the ballot And if you are that person, you need to go look up and do research and call on those people. And I'll tell you that right now especially is the greatest time that you speak with your elected officials, because speaking with them while they're candidates is very important for maintaining relationships going forward. So do your homework or go all the way down the ballot. Either way, reach out, meet them, offer to host a meeting in your house if you can, bring 20 of your friends, have a barbecue for them. A couple days ago, so we're not at 50 days now, it's shrinking, okay? Early mail-in is starting very, very soon, October 13th. Last day to register is October 5th, just so y'all know. We have a very small window, and the challenge that I gave some voters a couple days ago was 50 days left till Election Day. 50 days, talk to 50 people. Ask 50 of your friends to vote from top to bottom. Donate $50 if you want, $1 for each day. Knock on 50 doors for somebody, but do something to reach out and bring friends with you to the vote and to challenge them for it. It's up to us. We're holding the nation. These ladies from California know it. Texas, we are essential to the future of this country, to the future of the way our children will be raised, and to the future for us all. Are there any questions from any of you? Yes, one in all the way in the back. Yes. And tell me your name, please.
My name's Harry.
Hi, Harry.
Hi. So I just wanted to kind of mention that I know there's a lot of negative feelings toward the governor from a lot of people, but one of the things that's important is whenever he's calling people and he's trying to get people involved, that's something you were talking about, volunteers. He's not just calling them to ask for money. What he's doing is he's calling them and asking them if they know about candidates, and then giving them a website so they can learn more about those candidates that are running in their areas. That's the kind of education that we need. And is the Republican Party of Texas going to be providing more information about people in specific House districts to help educate people? Are they going to be sending out copies of ballots to different areas? Or what's the best way for us to become educated?
Actually, the Greater Houston Council of Republican Federated Women, I was a speaker at they had a big luncheon. They invited about 50 candidates to that event, but they did something that was absolutely remarkable. They created slates for 17 different counties with internet links to every single candidate from the top to the bottom of the ticket. Now, those slates will not have your city council or your school boards. I'll tell you, it becomes very difficult to make a slate unless you're specific to the polling location. So school board, city council, that would fall upon those candidates to know where those lines are drawn, because it gets confusing for those of us who aren't familiar with those districts and they don't pull up on the statewide Secretary of State websites. I would point you to their website. That is available. You all can refer people to that. It's a tremendous resource. The state party is putting together for the first time slates for every single county, but I don't think they're going to have internet links there. The other thing that I want to encourage all the candidates who are here, and for any of you who know other candidates who aren't, is encourage them to update a good picture and a current profile on Ballotpedia. Because if people don't know who the candidates are, and an email is going to go out to all the statewide candidates and the House candidates and Senate candidates that we have information for, but we don't always have email addresses. If people didn't file with their email address on file, we don't have access to those things to contact candidates. You need to update that Ballotpedia profile, because if someone goes to Google and types in your name, it may be possible that the Ballotpedia pulls up to the top of the search even before your campaign pages. So I would say use those resources, but yes, look up that GHC. That'll be a tremendous resource for all of you here. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am. Am I the youngest vice chair that ever served? I don't know. I haven't been around long enough to know the answer to that question. I am under 40. I'm a young Republican. I feel older than that. Probably I'll just be living with Pierce here, who is my bodyguard / campaign manager / all things. But don't worry, everyone, I'm not an ageist. My husband's 30 years older than I am, so I feel like I can get along with all ends of the spectrum very well. And so, I don't know, that's a good question. I know Steve Munisteri ran a vice chair race and when he was in his late 20s, but because of the rule that the chairman, if the chairman's a woman, the vice chair has to be a male and whatever. And so the woman that he was paired with withdrew from the race, so it made him ineligible. And that was prior to his becoming a chairman. So he would have been, except then, so that's kind of a neat story. I don't know. I truly believe that age is not a factor in anything. I think persistence, knowledge, willpower, and the desire to go out and get things done. Yes.
Oh, no, probably not. Mine is, I'm getting daily phone calls from the Trump campaign. No, about mail-in ballots. We do not, mail-in ballots are not a good thing. They're high risk of fraud. I don't know why the party is.
Okay, so so let me speak to that. She said, they're really being encouraged to do mail-in ballots. I am encouraging people, number one, to early vote. Avoid the lines. Governor Abbott extended early voting an additional week, which is difficult for the counties to figure out with the volunteers and things like that, but it really is better for all of us. So number one, early vote. Number two, my personal preference would be vote on election day, and mail-in ballots fall way down the line for me. I do want to make a distinction. There is a difference between typical mail-in ballot absentee voting, which we have always done. We've always done in Texas for people who are over 65 or who are disabled. Trump completely supports that. What he does not support is what was suggested in Harris County, which was blanket sending out mail-in ballots to everyone, and which Attorney General Ken Paxton, who I was with speaking at an event 2 days ago, he spoke about that verdict was coming out and they shot that down. So that's not going to be permitted. You will see one other change to the ballot, though, that for those of you who vote on election day or who help as poll watchers or help as election judges or clerks, the Supreme Court, the Texas Supreme Court recently just made a ruling that the Green Party candidates who the Democrats had voted to knock off the ballots have to now be re-added to the ballots. So all of the ballots are going to be reissued, which I've been traveling all day, but so that is terrifying to me because we've already got some mail-in ballots that are out there, and now they're going to send a second round, and allegedly the second one will cancel out the first one in the instances where 2 are submitted, and then if you send in the first one, it'll be accepted even if it's not. So that's one other thing, and thank you for saying something, because I need to say Harris County desperately needs early voting judges, ballot board judges, and election day voters and judges. And you're paid here, I don't know what you're paid, somewhere $17 an hour. You are desperately needed, and the people who sign up to work the polls and work as election judges and clerks, you are the front line of the trenches for voter fraud, to shut it down. So if any of you all really are worried about voter fraud, if you can't go work the polls because you have a health issue or because you can't do a 12-hour day, go find someone else to do that, because that is our front line of defense. Yes, we're arranging right now. Ken Paxton was just named co-chair of Lawyers for Trump, and there are going to be lawyers that are in the wings across the state that are ready to stand up and fight issues that come up. It doesn't matter. If we don't identify them at the ballot box, we're already 10 steps behind. So, yeah. Yes.
I'm not following the parties, the Republican parties